How's it going, Pensar Basketball fam? I am realizing right now, as I say this, that I forgot to turn on monetization for this video. My bad. Um, Quite an interesting All-Star Saturday night. And by interesting, I mean completely boring. And there wasn't a lot to enjoy if you were a casual NBA fan. There was some amusement if you're a Raptor fan. That was interesting. Scottie Barnes gets off to a very shaky start. And I tell you, I clenched. I was like, no, please don't do this. Like when you were a rookie, it was funny and it was cute. And, like you're a kid at your first All-Star game and you can't make a layup in your floater and whatever. But today, to lose the ball like that, I was like, oh, please don't do this. And then he turned it around and he had pretty much the best showing that you could have expected for a player of his size. He made every single jump shot in the skills challenge. And then, yeah, it was interesting. Like the shooting challenge, he made his shots. He was the only guy in that little the passing challenge that thought to pick up the ball with two hands after Tyrese Halliburton did it. But no real surprises in the skills challenge. Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers team bring it home. No real surprises in the three-point shooting contest. I don't know who you guys had, but I was pretty sure that Dame was going to win it, and Dame won it. And the dunk contest was all sorts of cringe, and the Sabrina Ianescu versus Steph Curry thing was contentious. Best dunk contest ever aside from JB getting robbed. You gotta be kidding me. Jaylen Brown. Oh my God. Okay. You know what? Instead of telling you what I think about this, just look at my tweet about it. Okay. Like Jaylen Brown shouldn't have been in the finals. I know you're a Celtics fan, my dude, but like you gotta be kidding me. Like it's insane. Like he wasn't that good, bro. Jacob Topin should have built it. Why was the Sabrina thing contentious? It was contentious because of the commentary around it. Now, Sabrina Ianescu is one of my favorite WNBA players. I love her. I think she plays on a team that is super fun to watch. If you watch the Liberty, it's an awesome team. And it's not just about her, obviously, like love Marine. And, it's just a lot of players on that team that are amazing. And I think the WNBA has a huge pipeline or pathway to grow, and they're doing way better. And there's an influx of talent coming in. So the last thing that you needed at the NBA's mid-season exhibition, right, was for the commentators to be talking about her shooting with the smaller ball. Shouldn't, it. I can't give you an exact rundown of what was wrong, but if you heard it, you heard it. It was just wrong. I don't know what else to tell you, right? In terms of the dunk contest, oh my goodness. Like, what the hell was that? Zigsaw Puzzle saying it was incel energy, simple as that. Well, I don't think that Kenny the Jet Smith is an incel. I don't want to be throwing around labels. I just feel like when it comes to women competing against men, there are always some people that are going to have a really big problem with it. And Steph did not have a problem with it. So I don't understand why anybody else has a problem with it. And she's a hell of a shooter. And she did break his record in her sport. And her sport and his sport have a hell of a lot in common. So I think McClung's first dunk should have been a 50. Yeah, it should have been. And I saw 46 on the board. I don't understand at all. But honestly, even the Rising Stars Challenge yesterday, like this has been a flop so far. Okay. Mac, how does jumping over Shaq get two different scores? Well, I guess you have to refer back to Nate Robinson. Jump it over anything. When you're smaller, jumping looks better, right? You're getting higher off the ground. So jumping over Shaquille O'Neal as a 6-foot guard from the G League should get a 50. And the fact that it did is good. I'm glad. I really think Jacob Topin was robbed, bro. Like, I mean, that dude did some really amazing stuff. And Jaylen Brown, like, if you're a fan of the NBA in the 90s and you watched the D Brown thing live, like, my dude, that wasn't even close. That was a joke. What the hell was that? Right? I don't understand it. It's crazy. Anyway, so Scottie Barnes has been soaking it up, right? And I mean, to those of you who might have been worried that, like, hey, is the losing getting to him? Is he really tired? He's obviously moving like a guy who's very tired. He's kind of like sluggish out there and whatnot. He doesn't seem spry or energetic, but it seems like he's really enjoying himself. He's up with his agency. He's up with his trainer. He's up with his family. He's got a whole, let's call it like a week-long refreshment tour going on right now. It's like an entire weekend with friends, family, his agent, his trainer, and it's great for him. It's a great, to wake up and to not have to deal with the losing that you're going through with your own team, to have a change of scenery. These things help a lot. And he's typically been a guy who's come back energized from the All-Star break. He's been at the All-Star break all 3 years now. And he's always kind of come back energized, especially the first year. He really came back like with a renewed mission. And again, there was a lot to play for in the first 2 years. There was still a hope of making the playoffs. And right now you could argue maybe the Raptors don't have a real hope of making the playoffs. And so it feels different for him, right? Thank you. So did I, and throughout. And it's so sad because, you do have, like, I think this brings up a larger point, which is the point of this video, really. And it's not just that Scottie couldn't miss a shot. I mean, he missed tons of shots from half court, so that might be capped. But the larger point of this is, where's the NBA going, right? And what might have caused the disruption in ratings? Because if anybody wants to, I implore you to go look at NBA ratings across the board, and you will see that this league has been going downhill for a while now. Peak 90s, early 2000s stuff, like, those ratings have never been clipped. Now you could say it's because a lot of people cut cable, people watch sport a different way. Obviously, ratings are not a meaningful way to measure everything when so much of stuff is on social, right? But the game is still the game, and people do have to watch it. And the finals are still the finals. You cannot rely on people relying on like 10-minute highlights. But in an age when people have declined attention spans, how do you convince somebody to care about a 2.5-hour game between the Charlotte Hornets and the Indiana Pacers in February? How do you get them to commit to that, right? There's a lot of stuff that's been going wrong with the NBA. I want to say for a while now. Few things that I could point to. And again, there's a lot of owners that have sold their stake in multi-billion dollar, and then there's talks. There's some very smart people that I talked to last weekend said the number of, people who are selling right now or rumored to be looking to sell makes you think, is this why the Raptors are so cautious about potentially tying themselves up super long term? Do they know something about the next TV rights deal that maybe we don't? Because again, it doesn't matter for the TV rights deal what I'm doing here, right? I don't contribute to that. YouTube content does not contribute to that. The truth is that a lot of people are consuming the NBA through forums and through streaming apps and through, illegal sites, and they're cord cutters, right? But at the end of the day, like, and I mean, they could be consuming it through YouTube highlights, like in 10-minute packages. You didn't have this availability. 10-minute highlight packages in 1992 simply did not exist. You could not log into the internet and say, what happened between the Bulls and the Pacers last night? I don't feel like watching a 2.5-hour game, with all the ads and stuff. let me just go on NBA.com, or let me just go on YouTube and check NBA.com or NBA's thing, and let me just watch the 10-minute highlight. But people are consuming games in highlight form and through streaming apps, and which is declining. Like ultimately, the growth of the game, outside of the United States has been great. But these new markets, what is the value of growing the game in a market where your advertisers are not interested in really selling, right? I used to watch Raps in 30 on Raps TV. Sure. Yeah. But still, that's a TV thing, right? You're not consuming it via the internet, and it's different. So Brian Monroe saying the LED floor was mint. Hope they get an NBA game. So much you can do. I thought it was a gimmick. And I think that this is exactly what I want to talk about today. So not every major American sport is in trouble. I think the NBA is somewhat unique in that sense. I don't think NFL is in trouble, despite all the controversies about concussions and the game not being safe or whatever. I'm not really sure there's a lot of other sports that are necessarily on the same decline in terms of ratings as the NBA. A few things about the NBA, I think, that are worth thinking about. Number one, under Adam Silver, we have seen a league that has increasingly embraced the trends, like the modern trend, right? And the truth is that trends come and go, right? New ball, mid-season tournaments, a lot of stuff, play in. Every year there's been like some sort of attempt to modernize or adapt something. And you got to understand that there's like always going to be a very loud contingent of people on the internet who are going to be really, really excited about new changes. But there's always going to be a growing resentment among people who maybe consider the purity of the game and might see this as a departure from what they grew up watching. They might see it as a tainted version of the sport, right? I think LeBron James has been a very polarizing figure, I think it's quite a departure from the popularity of Michael Jordan in terms of just how he's captured the imaginations of the world. So I think when you see how much the league has put force behind Wembanyama, right? Steph Curry, I think, was a guy who did something very amazing for the game. Kobe Bryant. I think when I think about guys who've really held the title of head honcho in the NBA, like the guy who's the face of the league, right? Ironically, Darko saying Scottie Barnes will be the face of the league. When I think about guys who are the face of the league, Magic Bird, definitely you could throw that up there. Kareem, you could say, but not really, right? Because there is a certain limitation to building a league around a center. People cannot necessarily, this is the reason why shoe deals are always worse for bigger players. Of course, you had Jordan, golden age of basketball, in my opinion. You had a lot of competitive teams. Big markets were good. The Lakers were good. The Knicks were good. The Bulls were good. Everything was good in the NBA, right? And I want to say like late 90s to 2003, you kind of had this like Iverson, Kobe thing. Iverson, Kobe, Shaq, Garnett. It was like okay, this is the next wave. One of these guys is going to step up. And you could say that guy, could have been Vince. It could have been Kobe. It could have been T-Mac. It could have been like a lot of guys. But the truth is that it's still a reminder of what was, right? If you idolize Kobe, you still know that you're watching a watered down version of a better player, which was Jordan. If you're watching, T-Mac or Vince, you know that you're watching a watered down version of what was effectively a better player. They may emulate, but they will not ever be that level of, I can't miss this. Michael Jordan game, I can't miss it. Michael Jordan's playing, oh, I cannot miss that. Who is the star that is like, oh, I can't miss that? Who inspires that level of fan interest. What is he going to do tonight? I need to see that. You know, you could say Steph Curry got close because he approached the entire thing from a very not Jordan angle. Shooting the basketball the way that he did is something that we've never seen before. You never knew when he was going to launch from the logo or do crazy shit like that. But Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, this is probably not the ideal face of the league. Trae Young, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, none of these guys have that Jordan aura, you know? Neither does Scottie Barnes. Like, if you're talking about growing the game, you know, it's almost always going to be a wing or a guard. Almost always. And I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing that player in the NBA right now, especially like, you know, you could say the talent is great. So that's one thing, you know, you don't really have a face of the league. And trust me, LeBron's not it, right? Like, I respect LeBron for everything that he's done, you know, the continuity, the championships, the finals runs, etc. But I think there's just enough humanity in LeBron that seeing him as an idol, the way you saw Jordan, it's harder. You know, you'll appreciate him once he retires. You'll talk about him differently once he retires. But I don't think that on a night-to-night basis, again, as someone who's just barely old enough to have seen, you know, most of Jordan's prime, I just feel like the energy when Michael Jordan came to your city was, you're talking about it for weeks. Michael Jordan's coming next week. Michael Jordan's coming next week. And, you know, I grew up in New York, so Michael Jordan came a few times a year, you know, and coming to the Garden, Jordan's coming to the Garden. It was like the biggest deal. And I just don't feel that way. Obviously, Vince and I went to go check out Wemby's game at Scotiabank against the Raptors, which was depressing as hell to watch. And maybe Victor Wembanyama can be, you know, some variation of that for a short period of time. But I promise you that so much of what people are so drawn to with him comes down to the novelty, right? It comes down to the novelty of, I haven't seen this before. But there's only, like, as he fills out and he becomes more dominant, there's only so much, let's say, like, cachet or novelty to watching a guy who's taller and bigger than everybody just dunk on him. Trust me, it doesn't work. They tried it with Shaq. They tried it with Yao Ming. It's never as interesting as you want it to be. The physics of basketball do not allow it to be as interesting as you want it to be. Now, if he starts pulling from the logo and doing crazy shit like that, okay, fine. If he becomes more finesse and more perimeter oriented, but blocking shots and dunking on dudes at 7'5" has never, ever, you know, captivated the imaginations the way that a guard, you know. So I think that that's one thing. The second thing is, you know, I think defense is an important thing to make things interesting and competitive, right? And in an age of 150 versus 160 or 146 versus 142, these types of games just lack interest for me. So what was interesting was when watching the Rising Stars Challenge, I found those games to be super interesting because there was a cap. Like, it was the first team to 25 or the first team to 40. And it made 8-0 interesting. Whereas in an average NBA game, even 28-16 is not interesting because there's always that, well, the team that has 16 will have probably 135 points in this game. What do the 16 versus 28 mean right now? You know? Clutch Tatum saying, I miss those 92-89 games. Cool, man. Yeah. Question for you. Are you in Toronto, bro? Why did I always think you were in Boston? And then I saw you grabbed a couple of tickets to Money, Money, Money. And I was shocked. So let me know if you're in Toronto. That's cool. So that's the first thing is the lack of the face. The second thing is, I think defense matters to some people who watch the game and who cherish the game and who enjoy the game. I think defense actually matters. And for some fans, it's just not as interesting to watch teams rack up 160 points as no one. Um, oh, that's hilarious. I had no idea. Oh my, that's hilarious. My bad. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's cold. Okay. So the second thing is, of course, defense. Um, so I think that it would behoove the NBA to, I think it would be wise for the NBA to kind of bring it back to something where defense is at least a part of the game, right? Do something that makes games more physical. I think the ticky tackiness of everything and the lack of defense and the, one way scoring and all that stuff is not good. The third thing that I think is impacting the NBA is load management. This constant, you don't know before, unless it's like 10 minutes before the game, you don't know who's not playing, right? That can really impact. You can only piss people off so many times. You can only burn people so so often. There are people that go to a game literally once a year, maybe twice a year, and they save for that. And the economy is not good, and the NBA tickets are very expensive in big cities. And so, when Vince and we went to go see Wemby, I joked with him at the end, at the opening, Wemby wasn't playing, and then I just got a notification Wemby wasn't playing, and I saw him lose his mind because obviously most people who were there, they were either French, and they came to support Wemby, or they were just curious and they came to watch Wemby, play against the Raptors and hopefully lose to the Raptors. But imagine if Wembanyama hadn't played that game. Like, those people are now like, I don't trust this league, right? And all of this talk about load management, it isn't even like this player had a last minute injury where fans are like, well, I guess if he's hurt, he can't play. It's just, this player is not going to play this game because of load management. I think it completely devalues the time that people spend in watching games. So I think, like, in both the aforementioned things, where guys are kind of like trotting up and down the court, not playing defense, and then also like you have stars and sometimes teams sitting whole teams, like what the Brooklyn Nets did against the Milwaukee Bucks, like that was disgraceful. It really was. To sit there and play your entire roster against Pistons back to back, and then to sit out against Milwaukee. That's why they lost their season. They were doing great. Clutch Tatum said, imagine paying courtside just yeah, man. And I think that's a really big part of maybe fan sentiment around the league, because I feel like consumers always right? Customers always right. And it's something that you can't piss people off. You only have so much leeway with your audience and with your customer base. Like, if you say, we're going to honor this discount and you don't honor the discount, or I don't know, like you taint people. There's so many options for people to spend their time. This is not like the 90s. The NBA is competing with a million things in an increasingly like distracted world. And you're offering a product that is not quite tailor-made for the attention span of the audience that you're after, right? 82 games at 2.5 hours a game with ads is a massive time investment. It's a massive time investment. So, especially in an age where people are used to getting their information in 4 to 5 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. I made a trailer for Penn Dance. It was 3.5 minutes long. Someone said, no one's watching a 3.5 minute trailer. I was like, that's probably true. Holy shit. That's probably true. I think this community is cool because you guys actually do watch long form content. I often make long form content, but even I have found that some of my 6-7 minute videos are the ones that get 100,000 views plus, or 60,000 views. It's these 20, 30, 50, 80 minute videos that are the ones that suffer. People don't have time. They have time. They don't want to spend it on things. So I think that the load management stuff is just, it's tough. Another thing that I think, you know, is probably a part of this, and it might have just been insult to injury. There's this old saying, go woke, go broke, right? And if you start introducing politics too much into something, into a sport, that you would ultimately, piss off a very large portion of your consumer base. And I think, I operate in the film industry. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a film festival director. So I understand this. A lot of film festivals are very political and a lot of people don't like it. We are not, the Pendants I run is not very political at all. It's not political at all. But the one year we had like a conference, it was like our third year, we had a conference where someone got a little political and they started like bringing like a lot of identity politics and a lot of, stuff into it that necessarily we're like, hey man, we're artist film festival. We're not this. People revolted. A lot of people said, I'm not coming back. Your festival is supposed to be apolitical. And look at you, you're giving a platform to people who are being increasingly political. And I was like, noted. Never wanted to be a political thing. I'm not a political channel. This is not a political channel. You never heard me say vote for this guy or vote for that guy or, none of that stuff. But introducing politics in sports, and then, you consider the NFL and how they've responded. And I'm not talking about the social good. I'm talking about the business good. Please don't conflate the two. I'm not saying, the NFL basically, blackballing Colin Kaepernick is like the right thing to do. What I'm saying, however, is the NFL, you can call it dog whistle, whatever, showed their customers where they stand on this stuff. And the NBA, in the bubble, especially after the passing of George Floyd, I think they showed the world where they stood in terms of social rights and humanitarian rights. And I think that could have something to do with how many people tuned out of the bubble, why the bubble ratings were so low. I think for a lot of people, that was frustrating. You're talking about a country, you can talk about ad rights, whatever, global, advertising and whatever, but, you're still operating in the United States. You're talking about a country that, like, you may not want to admit this, but half of that country voted for Donald Trump. Like, and those people, they pay. Michael Jordan was their hero. He was their hero. You know why? Because he said Republicans buy sneakers too. And you may not agree with that. As a human being, you might think that Michael Jordan should have used his platform to create greater social change. I would argue he made social change in his own way, his context was different. I think a lot of what LeBron and, Dame and a lot of these guys are able to do now is because Michael Jordan did what he did back then. Right. But I think that, they might be saying sad that long form content isn't digestible. I prefer it. Yeah. I mean, I listen to 1.5 hour podcasts. I watch 3 hour movies. Like, I'm somebody who has the attention span to do that. And I think that attention span is great. I think it's good to have like a long-term, because I mean, anything worth doing in life, it takes a while. Right. So anyways, for all of these reasons and perhaps more, I think the NBA could be in trouble when it comes to fan sentiment, fan engagement, and ultimately their next TV rights deal. Now, again, not breaking anything here. It seems that most people are projecting the cap to go up, that everything is going up, up, up. But I wonder if 2 to 3 years from now, if the bubble pops. Because again, if you look at where cap space has gone, like it's insanity, right? Like, we're talking about a league in which players, like, you got to contextualize this. You have players making $50-60 million a year, right? And sitting out games with an audience that is barely making minimum wage and is living below the poverty line. You gotta understand the optics of this is not looking good to some people. Jealousy, whatever. I don't count other people's money, but this this game feels like, yeah, I think that's something. I think there's a lot of games. I think the NBA is trying to honor the fact that, if you go down from 82 games to like 72 games or something more reasonable, given the pace of the game and everything and the appetite of people. I mean, imagine if there were 40 games in the NBA. It would be a much better product. It would be a much better product. Significantly better, actually. 40 games would mean, no back to backs. It would mean, probably like 4 or 5 days between games. So you have like a lot of time to actually value them. They're not coming so fast and furious, right? Every game has more stake, right? They're better games because you actually have time to scout and prepare, right? But you would never go to 40 games because you're thinking to yourself, well, if we go to 40 games, or 50 games or 60 games or 72 games or whatever, if we go down, right, how do you measure how great somebody is today? All your scoring records would be useless. You know what I mean? Like 40 games means like even 100 years from now, all your scoring leaders would be guys who played in the 90s and the 2000s because no one else would catch up, right? So like what would you do? Would you change everything? Would you make 2 points, 4 points, and 3.6 points to make up for the lack of games? Like what do you do, right? It's weird. But anyways, I think a lot of people, Mark Cuban's selling, a large portion of his share, Michael Jordan selling his share. The Minnesota Timberwolves are sold. And you could say these teams are being sold because the owners who bought them are selling them at such a huge profit. But ultimately, Mark Cuban is a guy who's gone on record many, many times prior to this saying that he did not want to sell and he never wanted to sell. And there's a lot of crypto, scams and stuff that he's been a part of. And maybe he's in financial trouble. And I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what Mark Cuban's going through right now. But I do think that if that guy sells something, it's usually a really, really bad sign for me, you know? Yeah, so it's really thanks for misspelling autistic on purpose. I think uh Scottie Barnes' acoustic thing. Thanks. Maybe we should address it as acoustic. Listen, Scottie obviously had a tough start. He also threw the ball backwards. And if you're a fan of his, it's difficult to not be worried that like this is the fuel that people use to say that he's not a number one option, that he's not a good player, etc. Right? But I think he's just having a good time. Um, Obviously, nobody wants to dribble the ball off their foot in the skills challenge to open up. A lot of people were clowning that. Um, but yeah, I gotta say, like, first of all, saying someone who is not autistic is the low of lows, and people just keep saying, he's never going to beat the allegations. He's never going to beat the allegations. And this is just such a recurring thing. And I feel like, to some extent, it's just such bullying behavior and such low quality behavior from people to suggest that someone who has no known record of autism or any spectrum disorder to be suggesting every single time he dribbles the ball off his foot or he smiles in a way or runs in a way that you don't find great, to say he's autistic is so weird. Also, what's offensive in all of this is that the term autistic is being used in a derogatory sense. You're saying he's like goofy. You're making it synonymous with goofy, or and it's disgusting. Actually, it's very disgusting. I think the disgusting part of it actually is how disabling it is for somebody who is autistic to have to listen to somebody being bullied for not being something that they actually are. So I think it's frustrating for sure. Social media is ruining the world, in my opinion. Information is great, but at what cost? People are always going to find a way to get information, whether they're going to get it from their family, whether they're going to get it from their neighbor, whether they're going to get it from a newspaper, etc. Social media has just made it easier for people to get the information that they want in the content, in the form that they want it. So, yeah, it's worth noting. Yeah. That's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to take a moment to just say that I'm really proud of Scottie Barnes. You know, obviously, like, been following the kid for a long time, and it's really cool to see him living out a dream. It sucks to some extent also that it's come with so much negativity from the Toronto media. Obviously, caught Oren Weisfeld on Raptors Republic still, you know, talking shit about Scottie and saying like he should have been suspended, or that the Raptors did this, or the Raptors are treating him with kid gloves. And it's frustrating because, you know, you have it kind of coming from all sides. Me personally, I'm just happy that he gets a weekend away from most of this shit. The NBA media at large is not nearly as ridiculous as the Toronto media. So I think that that's probably a good thing. That's good. LeBron is I've never heard that word. The game is a major factor. Traveling not called, dislodging and not getting an offensive foul, the constant bitching at the refs, no text. Yeah. Yeah. Again, you know, the game that people grew up with is very different than the game that exists today. And I feel like that is having a trickle down effect on how engaged people are to watch it. I want your opinion on something. What do you guys think of this poster? So our poster prints just came in for Pen Dance. Hold on. Let me hold it up. If you saw this on a like on a coffee shop or something, would you stop? Would it catch your eye? I'm always curious. Like I do a lot for Pen Dance, obviously, and I'm realizing something, that all of the effort that I put into Pensar basketball over the last year and a half has kind of neglected my child. You know, and Pen Dance is my child. You know, like I love this festival so much, and we put so much heart into it. But our social media is our ticket sales are going really well. Tickets just came in today. Kind of cool, right? You got to clip these up. Our ticket sales are going well, but our social media posts are not doing well at all. Like I was looking at our engagement on Instagram. I was like, holy shit. We used to have like 400, 500 people looking at our stories. Now we have like 70 to 90 on a good day. And we're like 5 days away from the festival. Sucks, man. So yeah, this is our program guide. Kind of cool. I designed this last night. Got printed out this morning. It's cool. Yeah. Couple quick things. One, if you want to, I don't know who you are. Like I really don't, you know. I don't know if you're somebody who lives in Toronto, goes to parties, likes filmmakers. I don't know. Do you promote it with B-ball IG? What does that mean? What is aren't ticket sales more important than views? So yes and no. So like from the point of view of like how big does it look, how many people across the world does it reach, it is important, right? When you run a film festival, it matters that people show up to the event. Of course it really does. It you know, it gives a great feeling to the filmmakers. They're there for their films, and then they see, you know, hundreds of people in the audience. It's great. It's great for them. It's great for you. You know, that's good. But to have the awareness beyond the event, like you need like you need like 50 times more people than actually that attend your event to find out about your event, and then check in on your event after and see how it went, and then kind of regret that they missed it. Like you want people to see pictures of your event and be like, oh shit, I kind of wish I'd gone to that FOMO ironically is what drives ticket sales the next year. So yeah, I'm very thankful that ticket sales are going well. They're going okay, but we have a long way to go over the next 4 days. The event is for exposure. No, the event is for films, like to, it's for stories. Like, you want to create. It's interesting. Like we're talking about the decline of the NBA. Yeah, we wanted to create an artist festival, which was not political, which was not, it was just about stories. Like stories from around the world, some of the best films from around the world. I don't know, stories that had like that resonating power. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm being nostalgic, but I used to turn on a movie in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and feel like I was watching something that wasn't a ripoff of every other thing that I had seen. I thought like that was really great. I like original thoughts. That's just me, And so, yeah, bruh, Toronto is a small market. Toronto is not a small market. Toronto is a pretty big market. It's just overly saturated. There's like 100+ film festivals in this city, and obviously the really, really big one is TIFF. So yeah. Anyways, so I wanted to invite you guys out if we have some people here who want to come out and support the film festival and hang out with some Pixar basketball peeps. I know some of you are attending. It's at the rooftop bar on February 24th at 10 p.m. It's located at College Subway. I don't know, again, where you guys are. It's a really cool event. There's going to be a lot of filmmakers there, a lot of artists. Grab a beer with me, hang out, shoot the shit, watch some films. I don't know if you check out the event before that. One of our alumni did something really cool this morning where he said, hey, look, I'm going to buy 12 tickets for this film. Go and donate these tickets. So, what? Facts. They do. So this is the world's premiere of this trailer. The filmmaker released it to us for the specific cause of promoting the film. And if you check the link in the description, there's a ticket code for the first 12 people to get a free ticket to this. It's coming next Friday, February 23rd at the Carlton Cinema, 7 p.m. It is an awesome film. I'm from New York, as some of you may know. This film spoke to me in like a million different ways. It's like New York City is a character in this film. So what's pratfall? Thank you for asking. So here's the trailer. It's fantastic.
Wonderful day in New York, yeah? Beautiful day.
Check it out.
You know why you're here in New York alone? It's because nobody loves you. Nobody loves you.
It's for now. It's
What's that? Tout va bien.
Everything is fine.
Tout va bien. Everything's fine.
So you didn't tell me. Have a girlfriend?
She's gone now. Gone. Let's go find somewhere to get some fuel, get back on track, get back on the right track.
It's huge.
It's a big place. You can get lost in a place like this. Did you just kiss that thing? What is the matter with you?
Come on.
You're here to have this fun, to this enjoyment, this thing that like makes your heart beat. It's not all good things. It's filled with bad things, very bad things. It never sleeps, it dies, right? Every day there's motions, there's gears, and it can't stop. Because if it stops, it falls apart. You stop. No, that's a bad idea. You look happy. You look satisfied. Look on my face, look happy, satisfied. I don't know. Hold on, buddy. Hold on, buddy. Hold on, buddy. Central Park is so big that if you took every human being alive and ground them all up into a giant meatball, it fit just inside of Central Park.
What?
Yeah, it's a fact.
They're off. Cube had a good beginning, so too did Red Buell. Red Buell to the front. Amistad is there on the outside. Then it's Hallstatt, followed by Deft along the rail. Bridge to the Future is next, and then Lone Pioneer, with 6 lengths off the lead, clear 2.5 from Power Boss. Lynn's boy to the inside, and Don Chicho is last. Up the backstretch, Red Mule the leader, 3/4 of a length ahead of Deft running in second as the field moves for the far turn. And then it's Cube in third, 22.97 that first quarter mile. Amistad is fourth on the outside. Behind that one is Power Boss. And then comes Don Chicho and Lynn's boy. They're coming to the top of the stretch, 45, 3.5. For front running Red Mule with the leader, Carlos Scott there by 2. No. And then toward the inside, it's Holstone.
This is gonna fucking make us. This is the thing.
They're all chasing the Red Mule. Holston, a long shot, makes a late.
Ow! No fucking excuse, Jose! Go on, Jose! Get up, Jose!
The hook is that they're bred to run and they're bred to lose. They were invented to lose.
This is the plight of man. First, you got to sink really low and get in slime. And from slime, that's how man was created.
This concept of Toronto being a cleaner New York, no, it's not. It's not. H2, making a film is one of my dreams. Oh, that's cool. Well, if you're in Toronto, come on down. There's 2 workshops that are really, really cool that might help you achieve your dream. Honestly, man, like making a film was actually my big dream. And I guess I can, to end off this live, tell you like how I even got into this shit, because this was not where my life was going for the longest time. So for the very, very longest time, I thought that, well, my pathway was that I wanted to be a sports writer when I was 18, 19, and I was very much on my way. And I thought I was pretty good. And when my mom passed away, it changed the trajectory of my life a lot. I had to start thinking back to like, how much money do sports writers make? Just overcome with debt right now. I have no parents to fall back on, right? This feeling of having no parents at the age of 21, 20. Imagine having no parents at 20. It's tough, right? So it made me change kind of courses of my life, and I wanted to get into something that was a little bit more high paying because I just didn't want to be broke. I had been broke like my whole life, and I didn't want to be broke, and I wanted to have a family, and I didn't want them to be broke. And so it really changed just what I was thinking, but it didn't change where my heart was. My heart was ultimately, I want to be a writer. And at some point when I was 23, 24, I started to explore the concept of like getting back into writing, because I was doing like the hedge fund stuff and I was doing a portfolio management job, and a lot of it was money related, but I felt like money was kind of sucking my soul dry, which is why I really like Pratfall, because, you know, again, like this concept of like feeling like your soul is being sucked dry, you know, this feeling is like very palpable to me and very relatable. And so yeah, so I ended up like writing like a whole bunch of short scripts, and I wanted to pitch them out, and I was like, hey, like I'll give them to somebody to make, and I didn't get any bites on it. And then I had a very terrible experience. First was a very interesting experience with a girl actually, and I'm an insomniac. Like after my mom passed away, I was an insomniac. I mean, I would still classify myself as somebody who stays up like way too long, as evidenced by the fact that I'm doing a live at 1:39, right? What kind of a normal person does a live at 1:39? So this thing that happened when I was 24, it allowed me to sleep. And it was such a touching moment that I wanted to write a feature length script about it. So I started writing one, and I wrote a 96 page, well, it was actually initially 106 page, and then I got it back to 96 pages, and it's called Sins of Omission. And I was very excited about it. And I started pitching it to anyone who would listen. And it actually has, like, I still stand by that story. It's a good story. And nobody wanted to produce it. They wanted to change elements of it that I felt were bad. And I didn't want them to change it too much, but they felt it wasn't marketable enough. And they wanted to change it to be more marketable. And I hated that. And I just kept waiting. I kept waiting. And then one day I was looking after my friend's dog. I don't know if I ever told this story on this channel. I live in a 2-bedroom with a solarium. To save money, I was living in the solarium, which, by the way, is like 56 square feet. So really tiny space. And I was living in there. I had minimized my shit down to bare minimum. And one night I had this speaker wire, like the way that room is structured. It was just like, it was all very compact, and everything was like very bunched together. And there was a lucky bamboo plant that was over my bedside every night. And it sat on a ledge above my bed. And it was a heavy vase. It was like, it looked pretty, but it was a heavy vase. It was like at least 20 pounds. And there was a speaker wire that went around it because I had surround sound in there too. I might be living in a 55 square foot thing because I was renting out the other 2 rooms, but I wanted to live in style and have my 5.1 sound so I could watch movies in there. And dude, I tell you, like, somehow that speaker wire got connected to my foot. The dog started playing around with it. When I woke up, I pulled it with my foot, and it's behind the plant. So maybe I'm not doing a great job of explaining it, but basically the speaker wire runs from the speaker, and enough slack had been put. So let me put it this way. Speakers here, right? Beds here, pillows here, speakers there and there. So it's like behind you, right? The 2 rear speakers. There wasn't a lot of place to put rear speakers, so they had to be like literally right above my bed. And that speaker wire ran like around the lucky bamboo, back around to the TV. So if there was a bit of slack and you pulled it, then the way you would pull it is you would pull the bamboo. And that's exactly what happened. I had this gigantic vase fall on my head as I woke up. And I thought I was dead. Legit thought I was dead. It was November 2014. I want to say it was November 2014. Super cold. I'd never seen so much blood in my life. I don't know if that just got this video demonetized. I'm sorry if that was too much information. I'd never seen so much blood in my life. And I was just like, I'm going to die. Like, I'm straight up going to die because there's no way I'm recovering from this. Like, 20 pounds. Like, it was insanity, man. And so I called the cops. Like, I called 911, and they thought the first time I called that it was a woman screaming into the phone. So the second time I called after I got disconnected, they were like, where's the first person who called? So they said the ambulance will be there shortly. Please relax. And I was like, okay, I'm going to die in this apartment. I'm not dying in this apartment. So I put a paper towel over my head and a towel around my head, and I went dripping all down the hallway into the elevator and lay on the front lawn. Just lay there. I laid there for 40 minutes, 35 minutes waiting for the ambulance. The cops came before. They thought it was domestic violence. They were like, oh, where can we have your keys? We need to check on your girlfriend. I was like, what girlfriend? She's not there. They're like, what are you talking about? They thought that a woman had done this to me because the first person who called them, me, was screaming so hysterically. They thought it was a woman. And I was like, yikes. Yeah, it was AM traffic, man. It was like early morning traffic. So unfortunately, the ambulance took a while to get there. Anyways, as I lay there for 40 minutes, I was just like, yo, if you somehow do not die, like literally when the paramedics got there and I got into the ambulance, my first question was, am I going to die? And the woman is just like, relax. Foreheads are big bleeders. You're going to be fine. I got 39 stitches across my head. 39 stitches across my head. And my entire ambulance ride over all I kept thinking about was, I'm never going to get to make my film. I'm never going to get to make my film. I'm never going to get to make my film because I stupidly waited around. And so that's why I did it. Literally 2 days later, I put in my 2-week notice, quit my job. I was like, I want to do what I love for the rest of my life. I got to do what I love for the rest of my life because life might not be as long as I was thinking it was. And shit, man, I already thought my life was going to be short because my parents died at the average age of 44. And for me to be like, sitting there at like, what was that, 25, 26? And just to have it all like, yeah, I did. So, and then 2 days later, I found a guy on Kijiji selling a film camera, a Sony FS100, and I bought it, $3,000. And a few months later, I wrote a short script, cast it, and made my first film. Would you guys be interested in watching my very, very, very first film? It's terrible. I don't even know why I would ever want to show it, but anyways, so some people say it's not terrible, but like I think it's pretty terrible. I could like rip it into a new one. Someone reviewed it once and they said it was the most nonsensical film in the history of the world. I promise you the thought behind it was way better than what it actually was. But maybe I should just show you the trailer of it. Yeah, I'll show you the trailer of it, which is so much better than the actual film. Anyways, it's about a guy who all of my first few films were very religious-ish. Like they had a lot to do with like the devil and God and stuff like that. But anyways, the concept of the film is about a guy who wakes up in his apartment and after a car crash. Anyways, I'll show you the trailer.
A business account could help boost your TikTok content. Here's how. Meet Anya. So you.
Hello? Anyone there? I'm trapped!
911, what's the address of the emergency?
There's someone here, someone in my apartment.
I need you to stay on the phone with me, okay? Just wait until we get there.
You're not listening! Okay, you're listening to me.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the film that came of that. And yeah, so it yeah, it is. It's more like psychological horror more than anything else. This review ripped it into shreds. Yeah, and I mean like it was a cool concept, I think, on basically it's about okay, so it's a are the actors your friends? No, they are not. They are not. They were professional actors. Yeah. So that was the thing. Like, so I had this idea. I was at a toy store, or it was like a Walmart or something, and I was watching this woman like buy toys for her kid or shop for toys, and she was acting very horribly towards her son. and I thought, like, from my vantage point, she looks totally different than she probably looks to herself from her vantage point. And it got me thinking about just like how we see ourselves, right? And so I thought about like a concept of hell, right? And think about it this way. Imagine you're a really terrible person. Let's say you beat your wife. Let's say you're like a drunk and an alcoholic and an abuser. And let's just say you're a user and an abuser and just a really selfish person who hurts people all the time. Now, what would be your hell? Well, if you're imagining hell from the, cartoonish version of hell, you're probably thinking fire, brimstone, devils, etc., right? But here's a more haunting version of hell as I understand it. Imagine if you are that person that you come home, right? And while you're home, you have to watch yourself do all the horrible things that you do. Like you have to watch yourself beat your wife or, use people, abuse people, right? And then you snap out of it, like you think it's all a dream. And now you have to watch yourself do it. And then you have horrible things happening to you at the time. And then you watch yourself. And so every single time you take one step removed from who you actually are, right? Like right now, I don't see me the way you see me. I see me on a screen, I guess. So in a weird way, I am looking at myself the way you are. But what if there was someone right here and they were seeing me do this? They would have a completely different vantage point of me, right? So it's all about like perspective and vantage point. Anyways, I share this to say that, Pendants, Pensare basketball, Pensare films, these are really important things to me because they are a departure from the life that I felt I would be relegated to. They're a risk. Of course, running a film festival is not easy. Running your own podcast is not easy. I feel like it would have been a lot easier for me to go down a path of just doing what I was already good at, which was numbers and figures and math and using, the skills that I had. Running your own business, running your own film festival, running your own production studio, running your own podcast, these things, they might sound fun, but they're a lot of work. There's nobody really to hold you accountable. If you fail by yourself in a lot of ways. So appreciate the support. 6'9" says, yes. Do you have separate channels for your film stuff? Yeah, Pensare Films, Pensare Basketball, Pensare Films. It's completely, it's a different channel. I think. How many subscribers does Pensare Films have? 13,000. Yeah, 13,000, and it's very, very neglected. It's a very neglected channel at this point. But yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think here. Like, what do I have here that I would? Yeah, nothing really. Yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, you would see hints of it being the same person. Like when I, look at this. I have an OG Ananobi mixtape that I uploaded to this channel before I started Pensare Basketball, which is probably when a lot of people were just like, what is this filmmaker raptor, fool doing? That was my OG Ananobi mix. I'm pretty sure I have like a Scottie Barnes video too. Oh yeah, I do. Great people have three things in common, which was like a snip snap. And then I also tried to upload this. Yeah. Again, things used to, like, it was going a lot better at one point. Y'all want to see the trailer for my latest short, which is on the festival circuit? You can see it here. It's much better.
A business
To see
account
how
can
much
help
I
boost
grew
your
over the
TikTok
years.
content. Here's how. Meet Anya. So you
Logo change too. Well, if it wasn't demonetized before, it will be demonetized now. Absolutely. So the biggest version of Penance we ever had was Penance 2020. That was enormous. But we were the last festival to go live before the pandemic. Yeah. Poster commentary, maybe focus on the you versus the we. Stories that move you, too good to be missed, fill in the you blank. That's a really good point. Let me write that down. Hold on. We love movies more than you love cake. You're right. What a stupid slogan now that I think about it. Why did I do that? This is sleep deprivation in a nutshell, you know? Like, thankfully I didn't put that on the main poster. It's only on 30, so if we only put it on whatever. One of the festivals that I attended, the Gasparilla Film Festival, they had a discover movies before they're famous. That should be a really good pitch for Pendance too. In Pendance 2019, we had these two short films, Kirdita and Baghead. Both were adapted into huge features. And a few years later, they were both like two of the best features of the year. One went to Sundance. And yeah, if you were one of those, I don't know, 120 people who had come to Pendance 2019, you would have seen them before everybody else. So yeah, discover movies before they're famous. That's a good point. Yeah. I remember having a conversation with let's say a celebrity idol, you know, someone that I look up to a lot, one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. I remember having a conversation with him about how annoying film festivals are for him. And so it's when I told him about Pendance, I told him, I want to create the type of event that you can come to and we won't tell anybody. And he said, that sounds great. It's kind of hard because he's 6'4", but that's what I've always wanted to do. Every year we have like some B-list celebrity or whatever who says, oh, we would love to come to your festival if you would just comp us some hotel tickets and some gala passes and this and that. And I think like a lot of festivals are able to garner an audience based on who's coming. You know, Michael B. Jordan is coming. You know, with TIFF, it's like 100,000 people coming, right? Guillermo del Toro is coming. And people just want to meet famous people, take pictures with famous people. And I hate this. I really do. And so every single time we've had an opportunity, you know, like to bring a main actor or a director to the event, we've always made it clear, like, we're not that type of event. We're not going to be the type of event that's going to sell on your celebrity. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's not possible in today's world. Maybe it's not possible to just tell people, hey, there's really fucking great films. You're going to love them. Come check them out. Maybe it's easier to say Lady Gaga is coming. But that's a fucked up world, and I don't want to be a part of that world. So, I don't feel comfortable saying, but they're definitely faces you would recognize. And I mean, they're faces you can put on a poster and say, come meet this person, you know, or take an autograph with this person. Well, what does that have to do with film? That's a celebrity festival, you know? That doesn't feel right to me, is what I'm saying. Every small festival can get like one B-list celebrity. Every major festival can get like 100 A-list celebrities. But at the end of the day, that should be a part of it. It shouldn't be the whole thing. And there are festivals in Europe that they are not about the celebrities. And I really admire them for that. They're not about like the special guest, you know, but people go to them. They go to them in hoodies. You would be so surprised. Sometimes you'll go to a festival like Karlovy Vary, or like some Hungarian festival or Finnish festival, and you'll see someone like Will Smith, and it hasn't been majorly publicized that he's there, but he just happened to be shooting a film like a few countries over, and he just hopped over. Celebrities are people too. Athletes are people too. My grander vision for Pendants is that I want this thing to grow next year, especially. We're going to put a lot of focus into this. I want this thing to grow to the point where, you know, someone like Scottie Barnes could come and check out movies without us like being like, Scottie Barnes is coming to Pendants, come meet him. Like, you just want to, or like not just Scottie, like anybody, you know, like it could be anybody, but you want to make an event like that where even people who are famous just feel comfortable being able to put on a hoodie and just come. You know what I mean? I just think that would be great. Exactly. So again, trying to be someone with integrity in a world where I feel like we're trying to leverage whatever we can, and I'm not for it. So anyway, long enough about that. To close off, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. The big slowest takeaway of small content is not fair. The whole idea is to get them noticed. Celebrity thing is no different than the NBA watering down content rather than growing the original game. The focus is this very video. Staying true to yourself is your superpower. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, I see it as don't lose the plot, you know? Like, it's really easy. And I've lost the plot before, by the way, many times. So I'm not saying this like I'm above this. I've definitely lost the plot like 100 times, you know, where I want to make a film that's true to me, but then I'll be sad that it didn't get into a certain film festival. It's like, yo, you made the film that was true to you. Relax, you know? Or maybe I'll make a video that I'm really proud of. One of the videos that I'm really, really proud of because of my voice acting work was my Toronto Raptors Honest trailer. Do y'all remember that video? I'm just curious. I love that video. It did not do that well. You know what I mean? Oh, that's awesome. Because of your generosity, I'm coming to see Money. Oh, that's awesome. Yes, you will definitely see me there. I will be there. The director will be there. Jake Remington will be there. That's super cool. I hope you enjoy it. I really do. Yeah. So anyways, like, we're just trying to make a difference, but you do lose the plot from time to time. You do, you know, sometimes you're invested in making money, but then I don't know, it's a quote. Like, I'm very lucky I had some good guidance early in my life. Grandparents were super wise and awesome. One of my uncles who's passed away, rest in peace, was also really great. And sometimes these pearls of wisdom and guidance come in like really small doses, and they come at the most random times. And maybe it's after you just lost a basketball game or a tennis match, or you had a really bad day, and this person just says this one sentence and it just wires into your brain, you know? And it was something that my uncle said to me. He said, getting what you want is important. Getting it how you want it is more important, you know? So, you know, making money is great. You know, you want to make money, you want to be successful, fine. You know, getting a house, taking care of your family is great. But have you had to compromise your morals to do it? Did you have to lose people to do it? Did you have to, you know, screw over your family? And oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm really happy for the filmmakers. You know, our past sales are going so well. Thank you to a lot of you in this community who've really helped with that. Like, I saw so many passes go off like last month. I'm blown away by the support from this community. Thank you so much. If you want to help in any way possible, obviously attending is great. You know, come check out some amazing films. Come with a +1. It helps. It helps because film festivals, even TIFF doesn't sell all their tickets. Just an FYI, just so you know this. TIFF does not sell all its tickets. So what TIFF does is it sells passes and it sells sponsorships. And so they have like thousands of community partners that they gift away these little tickets to. So TIFF is not selling like 1,000, or like 500 tickets to a random short block on Tuesday night. No, they're giving, 100 tickets to TD Bank, and TD Bank is giving away those 100 tickets to their employees. So when you're a smaller film festival, you simply lack the resources to reach the number of people that you need to, which means you have to work 100 times harder to find these little community partners through which you can do certain giveaways for tickets. Because let's be honest, we're not screening the Avengers, and people are not used to paying $20 to see pratfall. They're just not, and it doesn't mean that pratfall is not worth $20, $30, $50. It's worth every penny. It's an awesome film. The point is, what is a consumer who spends $10 a month for Netflix, are they willing to pay $20 for a film they've never heard? And that you have to be realistic about that and just not be pretentious and a douche about it. It's really great that certain people have absolutely supported this festival financially. It's great. But we are good at this point from that perspective. You don't necessarily need to buy a ticket to support this festival. The two ways that you can help support Pennant Film Festival and me specifically and Pensar Basketball is as follows. Number one, attend. Come to some of these screenings. I think the filmmakers would appreciate it. It's not a charity case, obviously. We are just really late because I guess I can share this with you guys. I went through something very terrible at the end of January. It was the middle of January to the end of January where I was supposed to be doing a lot of work for Penance, and I just did not have those 14 days. And I'm behind. I'm massively behind. One of these I can't share with you guys. I think I hinted at it in a previous live. It was bad. Like, it was really bad. And it was something that shook my world for like a 4 or 5 day period. Right. So that was tough. And then also like watching my dog, basically lose balance and falling apart, and thinking that I would have to bury my dog right before Penn Dance was also really tough. And thankfully he has made a full recovery now after a ton of vet bills. But all of these things were very much taxing. And so, yeah, we're a little bit behind on Penn Dance. But because of the generosity of not only this community, but other communities, the artist community, and everyone coming together, we have made our quota on pass sales. I mean, hopefully we'll get more. That'd be great. But everything here at this point is just going back to the filmmakers. What is most important is two things. Number one is attending these films. Come, tell people about it, bring some friends. I promise they're worth it. It's not a waste of time. And look, there's comp tickets down below. If you can't afford it, it's free for you. So no excuse there. On the money side, come get some popcorn, whatever. But independent cinema and independent theater houses in Toronto got rocked by COVID. Rocked. So many of my favorite theaters shut down. So this is important. If you care about the fact that something other than Cineplex can exist in this world, it's important to care. Number one. Number two, the best way you can support it is we all know somebody who loves films in our life. I'm a filmmaker, so maybe I know more than you, but you definitely have somebody in your life that loves films. Tell them about it. Gift them tickets if you can. I will make so many tickets available for this community if you guys can help with this. But if you can be an extension arm of the promo, word of mouth is literally the best thing. I can run thousands of dollars of Facebook ads. I promise you, people just scroll past them because it's like, who cares? Film festival, whatever, right? We're not TIFF, but we are filling up fast. And I don't want to be, my dream is that this festival is sold out. That's my dream. I want it to sell out. There's plenty of tickets sold. There's plenty of passes sold. We're going to have a great event. I want to sell this out because there are a lot of filmmakers who are coming in. So if you want to help, that's the best way to help. Take the trailer or take, the website or whatever, the link. It's pendancefilmfestival.ca. And literally, share it. Share the poster. Share whatever. Share the social. Go to Pendance Film Festival on YouTube and like the trailers. Our YouTube channel on Pendance Film Festival, because we upload shit like once a year, is so dead. YouTube algorithm hates that channel. Like the average trailer used to get like thousands of views. We had a trailer get like 30,000 views once, like 4 years ago. But because of the pandemic and how much it hurt film festivals, sometimes our trailers get like 100 views now. So yeah, She-Wolf is right. Trying to leverage this audience, which is very dissimilar from a typical film festival audience, into that audience is weird and maybe not normal. And maybe if this was a film review channel, it would make more sense. And maybe this is annoying for some people. But I will tell you this channel and that brand have 1,000 times more in common than you could ever imagine. Number one, it's me. Like, the same sensibilities through which I see basketball is the same sensibilities through which I see film. There's a lot of overlaps in terms of the stories that we program. It's not like, it's the grittiness, it's the realness, it's the truth, you know? So if you enjoy Pensar basketball, it's very hard for me to imagine that you would not love Penn Dance. So that's my pitch. I'll see you guys after Scottie's game tomorrow. My biggest regret is that my favorite player is making his All-Star debut, and I am crazy busy. But obviously, I watched the entire All-Star, weekend this Saturday night with my girlfriend. She offered to pick up the prints so that I would have the 2 hours to work while I would have been picking up prints and stuff. So yeah. I hope Scottie gets 15 minutes tomorrow. Clutch Tatum. Yes, sir. You can add some people, bro. Like, one of my boys, Richard, I let him know. I was like, dude, we're doing good for tickets. We need to fill up some of these seats. Like, Ararat, for whatever reason. So the opening night screening Thursday, Ararat, amazing film, fucking awesome. Problem is, this film has the same title as a really famous Canadian film about a very, very touchy subject. It's not the same film. That film is from 2002, and this film is from 2023, and they're not the same film. But when people see that name, they're just like, already watched that thing. Are there tickets at the door? Yes, there are. Yeah. Tickets at the door. Maybe the common hooks between your two different audiences are integrity, original content, thinking, and passion. This is interesting. Yeah, that actually is it. Yeah, for sure, it is it. Good luck with all the work. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. We lost 50, 60 people along the way through all this film talk, but we've been talking about film for like 40 minutes. And life and all that stuff. But yeah, it's funny. Scottie was made fun of, yet no one batted an eye when Maxey and Banchero went in the wrong direction. Can you imagine if Scottie had gone in the wrong direction? You know what I mean? Have you ever seen like 1,000 like birds, like 1,000 chickens, right? And then there's like one that's a different color. Right? Everyone fucking thinks that. It's such a famous film. No, it is not a rescreening of Ararat. It's a completely different film. It's not political. It's not about Armenia. It's not about Turkey or Armenia or any war or political conflict. It's not a political film. Penn Dance does not program political shit. We're not a political film festival. We are apolitical, and it pisses people off. And honestly, people always said you're not going to be able to run an apolitical film festival in Toronto. It's such a political city that, this city is all about identity politics. And I'm just like, bro, I just want to screen a festival with great films. Why is this such a radical idea? But I've found that a lot of sponsors think it's a really radical idea. C'est la vie. Maybe one day I'll find out that I was wrong. But I got to go with my heart on this one. Sometimes you just got to go with your heart and just say, I would rather run this thing into the ground doing it based on what I believe in than compromise what I believe in. And yeah, his IG followers went up by 5K tonight. Good stuff. It's all love. Scottie gained a lot of fans tonight. Here's the thing. So as I was saying earlier, Scottie gets picked on because he's different. He's just really different. Like he's a different dude, you know, and different is great. Different is a good thing. I don't understand why, but it's always been this way. Barnes and Scottie saying 5K or not, that man is well on his way to superstardom. Yes, sir. I hope to see it. I hope to see it. And of course, I believe in him, and I've always believed in him. And I hope that he'll continue to have a great weekend. He deserves it. He deserves it, regardless of what has gone wrong with this team, regardless of the Toronto media making light of him being selected, how he was selected. He's an injury replacement. I don't remember this being said about Pascal Siakam, who was an injury replacement last year, FYI. You know, it is interesting to observe the double standard, especially coming from certain media members. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I feel like the more I talk about it on this platform, the more it kind of gives credence to that platform. And they're certainly not talking about me on their platforms, not by name anyway. They'll talk about me like as, you know, some idiot on Twitter, but they won't, they'll address it as the idiots on Twitter, but they won't say the name, which I find to be weird. But yeah, of course, everyone knows it except most Raptor fans. All-Star Weekend made me forget about all the games this year. For real? Yeah. He's a happy, fun-loving, family-loving kid. You know, there was a really, really funny low-key surprised me hitting all his threes. Yeah, and I mean, like, again, if Tyrese Maxey airballs a three, it's no big deal. If Scottie Barnes had airballed one of his threes, like, you would literally for years be hearing Jalen Suggs fans, Evan Mobley fans, Cade Cunningham fans, Pascal Siakam fans, allegedly Raptor fans, you know, just trolling the kid mercilessly and making clips of him airballing a three. If he'd gone the wrong way, I mean, literally, this guy can't do anything without people nitpicking it to death. And personally, I don't know why this energy exists around him. It's certainly not. The only other player that I feel this energy exists around, ironically, is LeBron. LeBron is the guy who is like microscope to death. Like, he is one guy where he can carry a team of absolutely like role players to the NBA finals and still be chastised for losing in the finals. But Dirk Nowitzki could do the exact same thing, and he would be heralded as being like the greatest shooter of all time. Do you know what I mean? Like, we do not extend Kevin Durant as well. Kevin Durant and LeBron James, to me, are like two of those guys that remind me most of Scottie's coverage. Because, again, LeBron gets bounced in the first round as a Laker the year after winning a championship. And nobody talks about the injury to AD. No one talks about the lack of help. Nobody talks about anything. If LeBron wants a teammate gone, we don't talk about it the way that Giannis wanting a teammate gone or Joel Embiid wanting a teammate gone. I don't understand why the animosity exists towards LeBron and KD the way it did. James Harden is another guy. Russell Westbrook might be another guy. Basically, when we're talking about the greatest players in the game, all of them have intense haters, right? Intense haters. And that's just always been the case. And as much as we like to gloss over it now, Michael Jordan had some intense haters too. Kobe had some intense haters, right? Really very, very difficult to think of a guy who was at the very, very peak of the NBA who just didn't have like a great deal of haters. Maybe Steph Curry is one guy who just didn't have a lot of haters, right? People just liked him a lot. Who's another guy? Steve Nash, maybe. I don't think Steve Nash had a lot of haters. You know, he was an MVP, 2 times MVP. Putting Steve Nash and Steph Curry in the same conversation is ludicrous to me. Obviously, Steph is like on a different planet as a player. Yeah. So I think it's just yeah, it's smaller pockets, but like you don't see like a widespread like hate brigade across fan bases for Steph Curry, right? It's mainly for KD, Russ. You know, again, Kawhi doesn't have like a ton of haters. I mean, people talk about load management; they might clown load management, but generally speaking, like the league respects the guy, right? Does Luka have a lot of haters? I don't think so. Does Jokic have a lot of haters? I mean, Jokic has like haters in the media to some extent, but I think overall he's very liked. Jimmy Butler is very liked, you know. Um, so yeah, I think it's LeBron. And I think it's because we we have a tendency to judge people by expectations, right? And the bar is so high for Scottie Barnes, right? Where like you got to consider, man, the guy became an all-star at the age of 22 and we're still talking shit, right? We are not obviously, but like people are still like clowning the guy. They're not giving him his flowers, right? Jalen Brunson makes the All-Star for the first time, the same time Scottie's making the All-Star for the first time, same time Tyrese is making the All-Star for the first time, same time Paolo is making the All-Star for the first time, same time Maxey's making the All-Star for the 5 times. There's like 5 first-time All-Stars in the East, right? Or did Jalen Brunson make it last year? I forget. So, no, I think this is his first year. I mean, you just looking at like the talent in the league, right? And it's just first time for Brunson. That's what I thought. Yeah, that might be it. I guess it's just like anytime you are talked about in conversations with greats, like when someone says that's the next Magic Johnson, that's the next Michael Jordan, you're always going to have some contingency of some segment of the fan base that's just going to be like, no, you know, yo, this is awesome, bro. You're awesome. Yes, it was. It was inspired by Silent Hill 4, The Room. Ironically, I ended up using my apartment as the setting for that. And yeah, I mean, that is a good eye, man. Yes, Silent Hill 4, The Room is one of the spookiest games I've ever played on PS2. I remember playing that game and I turned out the lights and I crawled through that fucking tunnel and I was just like, oh, this game is legit scary, you know? So I was yes, I was very deeply inspired by Silent Hill. Thanks for that question. That's awesome. Yes. Yeah. Anyways, I'm off. We'll do a post. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Back when games were good. Yeah, man. My girlfriend got me a PS5, and I said I wouldn't open it until after Pendance was done. If Pendance is successful, I don't know what the hell it is in me. You know, I realize now, like, I may not have had like the most ideal upbringing because I have this notion of like I need to deserve things, and I can't do things until I deserve them. So I can't take a vacation just because I want to take a vacation. I have to like deserve it. Yeah, for sure. We'll do an all-star post game tomorrow. I have a lot of work to do right now. I'm probably just procrastinating at this point, talking into a camera. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm rooting for Scottie. I hope he has a great showing of the All-Star game. As these things typically go, first-time All-Stars who are not traditionally like super scorers, not playing in their home city, probably don't expect like too much from Scottie. I'm hoping like for one big dunk, a couple of threes, and maybe like a couple of flashy passes. It'd be great. But overall, I expect Scottie to get the Kyle Lowry treatment when he goes to All-Star games, right? So yeah. Wait till they announce PS3. They have 11 exclusives on PS5. Sony has been awful this gen. I hope he does. That's his signature right now. I hope he just comes out and like dominates, you know, like I hope he takes it seriously. Like I hope like here's what I hope for Scottie. I hope Scottie Barnes is himself tomorrow. I hope he's someone who actually takes it seriously. I hope he defends in the first quarter and everyone just like learns to respect him for that. Because back when the game, like my day, I want to say my day, I feel like an old person saying that. In the 90s, when you watched an All-Star game, it was a relief because typically the games were, one thing that I didn't mention in the decline of the NBA, there aren't any like real rivalries in the NBA. Everyone's so buddy. Knicks, Pacers, Knicks, Bulls, Lakers, Celtics, like these kind of like, oh, those two hate each other. That feeling isn't there anymore. And I think it shows in how the players play, right? So I just feel like if a star, this is my totally unsolicited advice to the stars of tomorrow. If any of the 2,000 people who watch this video at some point are NBA players, here's my unsolicited advice. Bring it back. Bring that back. Bring back the I'll guard you full court, I'll talk shit. Like, be Patrick Beverley, but not the scrub version. You know what I mean? Like, be an antagonizer. Be the guy who's just like, I'm not fucking with those guys. I don't want to go. Like Josh Hart coming out today saying like, I don't step foot in Indianapolis unless I'm playing the Indiana Pacers. He's gonna get booed the next time he goes to Indiana. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. We're just too kumbaya as a society. You know what I mean? Like, we need a little bit of flavor, a little bit of spice. You know what I mean? Also, may I just say, it's very weird and ironic that the Indiana Pacers, who have Spicy P skills, as he's called, did not have Pascal Siakam in the skills competition. I feel like he would have done a better job than Mathurin. Okay. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, you need, like, there's a reason why people are like literally posting Kobe quotes every single day. Kobe Bryant right now, 3-4 years after he's passed away, granted, 4 years after he's passed away, is more popular than any current NBA player. I'm almost convinced. Today. Why? Because he had that personality. I feel like if Scottie really wants to, he can be that guy in the NBA. He's already off to a great start. He's already pissed off a lot of fan bases. If he wants to relish this villain tag of the NBA where 29 fan bases hate him and his own fan base supports him, unfortunately right now his own fan base is kind of split on him. But if he wants to be that guy, I think he is wired with the old school mentality to actually be that guy. He's a guy who, like, I feel like he needs, I don't know, this is like free branding advice. I actually know some of the people that run his branding and stuff. Maybe I should hit him up with a message, be like, hey man, it's just unfortunate. Scottie's always going to be Scottie's. You're not going to be able to construct anything around him. You're not going to be like, hey, Scottie, go out and be controversial today. I think he's just controversial by nature to some people because he's just so different. But again, I would love for Scottie Barnes to talk some shit to people tomorrow at the All-Star game. I think it would be great for him to bring some of that energy to the All-Star game. And while he's doing that, I feel like he will get back a lot of the fan base that is just sick of the buddy NBA culture today. Right? Exactly. Notice a lot of gold unis this year. Drake's colors, Bell's laying off people, and Larry's leaving. Wonder if Drake still wants to invest, and that's part of the incoming changes. Don't know. Maybe. I think the gold unis are fire though. I'm not sure he's stepping down, but he has slowly been selling off certain bits of his stake. I don't know. Larry Tannenbaum has obviously been like a very big supporter of Masai Ujiri. Masai Ujiri is a big supporter of Scottie Barnes. So we shall see. We shall see what all of this leads to. It would suck, though. It would suck to see Larry Tannenbaum go. He's genuinely one of the better guys in the organization in terms of what I've noticed. I've never met him, but like just in terms of what I've heard from him, he seems like a really great dude. So yeah. Yeah, that's probably true too. Rebuild fast, Raptors, so that they can't fire you. Obviously, you know, here's the thing. I made it clear last year that as I was leading my little, propaganda campaign against Fred VanVleet, they can't do something that's so deeply unpopular, right? If they can't spin it in any way, it's hard to do, right? So again, like always pushing against this notion of, Fred VanVleet being like a $40 million player, pushing against the notion of Pascal Siakam being worth a supermax. The reason this channel has always pushed against those is not because I hate those two players at all. It's always been with this mindset of if you can get enough people to wake up to the real reality of what these players are worth around the NBA, then this media space and ultimately even this franchise cannot pull a wool over our eyes and pull a fast one. You know what I mean? Yeah, Masai has been oddly absent from a lot of things lately. So I don't know. It would suck to lose that level of stability, but yeah. I don't really think he's an NBA player, bro. But looking at this draft, holy shit. Like maybe they're looking at Bronny James in case he doesn't get drafted. I don't know. What's his draft stock like right now? I can't wait. Like a part of me is like so excited for Penn Nance to come. There's another part of me, like a very real part of me, that just wants to sleep for like 2 days straight after Penn Nance. Like I'm gonna be so tired and I'm just gonna be like, oh, thank God. And then slowly start to like rebuild my brain back up because right now it just does not feel like my brain's working at all. Like I'm stammering, I'm stumbling, my thoughts are disjointed, I'm forgetting things. I'm literally like watching something and then 3 minutes later, I'm just like, I don't know what I watched. Like my brain is so scrambled right now. So again, completely lost train of thought. Bronny James. So what I can't wait to do is go into draft analysis. I think that's going to be a really, really, really big focus for me. Obviously, if the Raptors keep their 6th pick, that'd be very interesting. But yeah, like with their 2 picks in the middle of the first round and at the beginning of the second round, I think they'll hopefully get somebody. I don't think Bronny James is one of those players. So that's just my initial take. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if LeBron will make good on his promise. We didn't talk about, like LeBron allegedly being open to being moved or the Lakers being open to moving LeBron. That is interesting too. That should play out really well. When this video goes live in 2 minutes, let me know where you would want LeBron to play out his final years of his career. That'll be interesting. Personally, I would like him to play them out in San Antonio. Have a good night, guys.